June 1943, Camp Hearn, Texas. The first trainload of German prisoners rattled along the tracks into the heart of Texas. These men, veterans of Rommel's Africa Corps, had surrendered in Tunisia after months of relentless desert warfare. They carried the certainty instilled by Nazi propaganda that German might was unmatched, that their enemies were weak, and that the Axis vision would endure. Yet the very first moments of arrival would shake those beliefs to their core. Even before stepping foot in Texas, the prisoners encountered a reality they could scarcely comprehend. At processing centers in Casablanca and other North African ports, American officers conducted medical exams, identity checks, and Geneva Convention briefings with an efficiency that rivaled, even surpassed, the best Wehrmacht operations. Thousands of prisoners were processed daily with precision, speed, and order. And then came the food: white bread, fresh coffee, meat served twice a day, not as a propaganda stunt, but as standard military fare. Soldiers whispered among themselves, "Is this real?" Others laughed nervously, half in disbelief, half in shock. Across the Atlantic, aboard Liberty ships, the prisoners witnessed the scale of American industrial might firsthand. These vessels, mass-produced at rates Germany could only dream of, carried hundreds of prisoners with modern navigation equipment, radar, and disciplined crews. Even during the voyage, abundance was evident. American sailors casually discarded half-eaten meals that would have fed entire German squads. The prisoners realized that this nation had the capacity to feed, transport, and sustain armies on an industrial scale that Germany could not match. Arrival and the electrified nation. Upon reaching American ports, Norfolk, Boston, and New York, the prisoners' sense of wonder intensified. Norfolk Naval Base sprawled across 4,300 acres with ships in various stages of construction and repair, cranes towering above, workers moving in precise choreography. The prisoners counted vessels and operations in a single day that exceeded the capacity of the largest German ports. The train journey to the camps provided further shock. Unlike the crowded cattle cars of German logistics, the prisoners traveled in passenger coaches, sometimes with sleeping berths, dining facilities, and windows framing a nation alive with electricity. Towns and cities glowed with lights. Farms in rural areas shimmered at night, their barns and homes illuminated. Factories hummed around the clock, parking lots full of cars, a spectacle impossible in Germany, where automobiles were a privilege of the elite. Camp life and abundance. At the camps themselves, disbelief gave way to awe. Camp Hearn in Texas, Camp Shelby in Mississippi, Fort Robinson in Nebraska, all built in under 90 days, offered electric lighting, indoor plumbing, heating systems, and hospitals stocked with penicillin, surgical equipment, and X-ray machines. Camp kitchens produced meals on an industrial scale, with electric mixers, automated dishwashers, and gas ranges feeding thousands. Daily rations included meat, eggs, milk, and fresh vegetables, far exceeding what German civilians had experienced before or during the war. Waste food, prepared to ensure generous portions, caused prisoners to question if it was all real. By autumn 1943, American labor shortages led to prisoner employment in agriculture and industry. In the Midwest, they worked on farms with mechanized tractors, combines, and advanced irrigation systems. Fields that dwarfed entire German villages became their classrooms in agricultural science. Hybrid seed corn doubled traditional yields, chemical fertilizers ensured bountiful harvests, and electric power brought most farms into the 20th century, while Germany remained largely rural and manual.
Prisoners could hardly believe their eyes. One American farmer with machinery could achieve what dozens of German workers could not. In factories and canneries, they observed mechanization that defied German industrial understanding. Conveyor belts, automated filling machines, and quality control procedures allowed production that Germany could only match with hundreds of workers. Detroit alone, with its automotive factories converted to tanks, aircraft engines, and military vehicles, exceeded the industrial output of entire German regions. At Willow Run, B-24 bombers rolled off assembly lines at the rate of one every 63 minutes, a pace inconceivable to German engineers. Education and re-education. Beyond food and industry, prisoners witnessed the intellectual might of America. Educational programs flourished in camps. By early 1944, around 25,000 prisoners were enrolled in formal courses: English, American history, vocational skills, and even correspondence courses from major universities. Camp libraries contained thousands of volumes, including German-language newspapers and books. Prisoners could explore free press and ideas forbidden in Nazi Germany. Camp newspapers, 135 different publications by 1945, documented this transformation. Initially defiant, these publications gradually embraced discussions on democracy, economic planning, and post-war reconstruction. Peer-to-peer learning, led by anti-Nazi prisoners, allowed meaningful engagement with democratic principles.
Religious life in the camps further challenged Nazi ideology. Services in German, charitable donations from local communities, and participation by Jewish refugees provided prisoners with alternative frameworks for understanding human dignity. Chapel attendance often exceeded 60%, and prisoners began to appreciate voluntary association, moral responsibility, and faith without state control. Psychological transformation. The D-Day invasion of June 6, 1944, cemented the reality of American might. Prisoners saw newsreels of thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of troops, and logistical operations beyond German comprehension. They realized that their homeland faced not only military defeat, but industrial overwhelm. Spring 1945 brought Europe's liberation and the final collapse of Nazi Germany. Footage from concentration camps stunned prisoners, confirming the moral bankruptcy of the regime they had served. American authorities had also introduced a re-education program, carefully designed to shift ideology. Anti-Nazi prisoners became instructors, moderates were engaged with discussions on democracy, and committed Nazis were isolated to prevent influence. While immediate results were mixed, the broader impact was undeniable. Prisoners gained first-hand knowledge of democratic governance, industrial productivity, and human dignity. Personal accounts and long-term impacts. Officers like Walter Hallstein, captured at Cherbourg in 1944, organized camp universities, taught law, and engaged with the re-education program. After the war, he became a key figure in European reconstruction, helping lay the foundation for the European economic community. Other former prisoners applied lessons learned in agriculture, industry, and management to rebuild West Germany. Prisoners returned home with first-hand understanding of American methods: mechanized farming, industrial production, quality control, and labor relations based on participation and safety. Exposure to economic abundance, consumer credit, and technological innovation reshaped German post-war industry. The German economic miracle of the 1950s was built in part on knowledge brought back from American camps. Cultural and human lessons. Beyond material transformation, the German prisoners experienced profound human lessons. Daily interactions with American families, participation in community life, and observing racial integration, even limited,
challenged the rigid ideology they had been taught. They learned that prosperity could coexist with freedom, that strength could emerge from compassion, and that democracy could generate more wealth and opportunity than authoritarianism. The legacy. Reunions of former prisoners in decades following the war, such as the 1985 gathering in Austin, Texas, highlighted the enduring impact of these experiences. Former POWs spoke of arriving as Nazi soldiers and departing as advocates for democracy. Their children grew up in a Germany shaped by first-hand knowledge of American society, promoting values of openness, tolerance, and civic responsibility. The German POW experience in America remains one of history's most compelling examples of transformation through exposure. It demonstrates that ideological change often occurs not through coercion or propaganda, but by witnessing competence, generosity, and the power of a functioning democracy. By the time the last trains departed American camps in 1946, over 371,000 German prisoners had passed through 46 states, participating in labor, education, and cultural exchange that reshaped their understanding of the world. They returned not only as citizens of a defeated nation, but as bearers of new ideas, carrying seeds of reconstruction that would bloom into one of the 20th century's most successful economic and democratic recoveries. The soldiers who had stepped off trains in Texas in June 1943, expecting a weak, divided, and decadent America, instead discovered a society of staggering abundance, industrial ingenuity, and humanity. Their transformation, from enemies to witnesses, from warriors to builders, from observers to advocates, stands as a testament to the power of example, the reach of democracy, and the enduring strength of human decency.